can see you cannot stand it. All I know the flow harder than a Scotch bunny. Don't try studying me, you cannot manage. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon. What you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon. What you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.
Hey guys, Ishina here. Hope you really liked that montage video of the Void Pyro Flamethrower build. Now let's go ahead and get into the talents. First off, with the Fire Staff, I like to go heavy on the Pyromancer tree. Basically just go all the way down to the Flamethrower, make sure it has no cooldown. This is super important because you're going to be interrupted with that Flamethrower. You're going to want to have that instant refresh on the Flamethrower. With Burnout, that's really your only escape in this build, so you definitely want to go all the way down to get as far away as possible from the enemy. And I like to go all the way down to Reheat. Now the reason for that is fire can be a very mana intensive build, and when you're running around or you're using your heavy auto attacks, it's nice to have a little bit of extra mana regen. I do like to get combat speed. This does stack with your perk on your armor, which is the accelerating flamethrower. At least through the test that I've seen, both of them proc. It's hard to tell whether it's fast or not, but you do get both buffs. The Watch It Burn talent, this is debatable whether you want this or not. Watch It Burn does not work on the Flamethrower critical hits, but does work on your Fireball and on your Burnout, so it does give you a little bit extra damage. Now if you wanted to, you could go with Kindle, which burning lasts 20% longer, and through the test it's really only 1 second extra of your burns, but this does apply to all your burns, so it does have good synergy with everything. Now of course some of these perks could change with the upcoming patch and the change to burn damage, and burn is actually getting a buff. So we will see the same amount of damage, but in half the time, which is really going to increase our burst potential with these fire builds. So keep a lookout on some new videos on this. Now in the Fire Mage tree, I do like to only get 1 point in Fireball. I don't like to go all the way down. And the reason for that is there's just so much more good passives that really synergize with the Flamethrower, with Burnout, and with Fireball. And it's nice to get a little bit extra burn on the Fireball and nice to get that mana back. Don't get me wrong. But what we're trying to do here is get as much damage possible from that Flamethrower and from our Fireball here. And these passives really synergize the best. Now with this build, I do like to go Spell Focus. Those heavy attacks restore 5% of your max mana on hit. So if you're in between your Flamethrowers, you're trying to get some distance, I never throw light attacks, I only throw heavies. And the reason for that is I get 5% of my mana back, and it doesn't cost any mana if you get the Flare talent, so super good. Now I have seen some people go a Rune of Helios type build with the Flamethrower, but to me it doesn't really make sense. You're going to be so mobile, you're going to be moving around so much, and spending more points in this tree just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add any value. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the Void Gauntlet perks real quick. I like to go all the way down Orb of Decay with the detonating orb. This is going to give you that extra pop of damage. The awesome thing about Orb of Decay and opening with this before you enter a clump or some kind of group scenario is you're going to get 10% rend. So you get 5% on the first orb and then 5% on the second orb. And not only are you getting 10% rend and instant burst of damage, you're also getting some damage over time to start ticking on your enemy. I do like to go minion evasion. That's another thing that's debatable. I do find myself proccing this quite a bit. When I go into my Void Gauntlet and I'm trying to get some quick mana, I'm using that mana regen from the Harvesting Essence. And then I throw a quick dodge, I can get some quick health back from minion evasion. Radiant Efficiency, super important. That's going to reduce all your mana costs while you're in your Void Gauntlet, while you're above 50% mana. This is going to really help you throw in your burst combo on your Void Gauntlet before you switch to your Fire Staff. Now on the left hand side of the tree, the Annihilation side, we definitely want to go full on Oblivion. This is going to be huge for us when entering the clumps. We're going to weaken our opponents, we're going to give stamina to us and our allies, and then we're also going to get the perk on our armor to be able to nullify, which is to dispel all our enemies inside the clumps. We're also going to go get Petrifying Scream, which is going to give us that root, which is going to lock down enemies to start dishing Flamethrower into their backs. This Fortifying Echoes, super awesome, gives 10% Fortify for every person hit up to 3 times, so that's a 30% Fortify bonus. Now, it doesn't stay when you switch to your Fire Staff, but there are times where you may go in for a Scream and a stray Warhammer locks you out, or you get hit with a Gravel and you get stuck in your Void Gauntlet, so that does help mitigate a lot of damage once you hit that Scream. Now, the key thing here is the Refreshing Frailty. There is a lot of cooldown reduction in this build. This is a really underutilized talent, and the reason for that is it used to be bugged, but it does work now. You get 5% cooldown reduction when you successfully hit enemies afflicted by 3 or more debuffs. Now, if you played any group fight, you've seen that there's tons of debuffs going out from, you've got rends, you've got weaknesses, there's just so much going out that's going to help proc this and give you some cooldown reduction. Now, if you hit 5 to 8 enemies inside of a clump, you are going to get a cooldown reduction for each person hit. It's absolutely incredible. There's some times where I'll run into a clump, I'll shoot an orb, throw in an Oblivion, Scream, and I'll be able to orb again, and it's already off a cooldown, and I can Scream again as well. It's absolutely insane. Because not only does this proc off an orb, it also procs off a Scream. So you're getting so much cooldown reduction, you can almost do a double wombo combo and not even have to throw out your Flamethrower. Now another key component to the cooldown reduction is the Refreshing Precision. Now when you get a critical hit, you're going to get 10% cooldown reduction. So not only are you getting cooldown reduction from Frailty, you're getting cooldown reduction from Precision, and all your abilities you hit here are AoE, so it's absolutely incredible. Now there are 2 talents in here that are debatable. The Forsaken Pack, which is 10% damage below 50% mana. We're not going to be sticking in our Void Gauntlet very long unless we get double procs, and we get a lot of that cooldown reduction. So whether or not you want to get that is up to your playstyle, but I do find when I get those double procs, that Forsaken Pack is super useful. Keen Humility really isn't that special, because all your abilities have to be on cooldown for it to be useful, so really it's only your auto attacks, your lights, and your heavies that are going to take advantage of this. But there are plenty of times where you can kind of weave that into your combo, where you Orb, Scream, Oblivion, and then you throw an auto attack, and that gives you another 10% chance to crit. You could take this 1 point, you could put it over here into Refreshing Harvest Essence, which gives you some more cooldown reduction when you swap to your Void Gauntlet to kind of get some things a little bit faster off of cooldown. Alright, let's quickly go into the gear here. There are a lot of essential perks to make this build work and to make it really shine. First off, you're going to want to get Accelerating Flamethrower. This is going to increase your speed when you're moving around with that Flamethrower. Once you get 3 stacks of burn, you just start zipping around, you can start kiting people, it's absolutely insane. I got nothing special here on my chest piece, just Refreshing Pillar of Fire. And the reason why I wear this is just because if I want to swap from Flamethrower to Pillar of Fire for a war or something like that, then I have that option. Powering Fireball is an absolute must. It's going to increase the damage of your Fireball exponentially. You need this talent. Putrefying Scream, this is going to give you that disease healing debuff, which is going to help you kill those clumps even faster and nuke those healers. And then Nullifying Oblivion. This is absolutely key to the build. It's going to dispel everything. So think about it for a second. Let's say you run into a clump and the enemy healers are spamming heals into those clumps. It's most likely that they're going to get Fortify buffs from their own personal talents, and they're also going to get Fortifies from those healers. So I've seen anywhere from 10 to 40% Fortifies on these clumps. Now you run in there and you throw that Nullifying Oblivion, you instantly dispel all those Fortifies, and you've empowered yourself and your teammates. So you have a damage differential of probably about 60%. It's absolutely crazy of what it would have been before. Without Nullifying Oblivion, your damage just goes down dramatically. Now on your jewelry here, it's really up to personal preference. I would say health is an absolute must because you're so close into the fray. And I was super lucky. I got a health, Divine, Refreshing Evasion. Refreshing Evasion reducing those cooldowns every time I dodge. And Divine really synergizes so well with your Void Gauntlet, with your potions, with your regenerating. You just get a lot of self-sustain out of the Divine. For Ring, you really want Keen and Hardy. Now mine is an int focus split. I wouldn't recommend that. It's just what I could afford at the time. I am going to be doing some more ring crafting, so we'll try to get that fixed. But Keen and Hardy is definitely what you want when you're running a light build. On my earring, I have Regenerating, Refreshing, Toast. Those are my personal preferences. I like to have that extra health regen because it does work with Divine, and it works so well with my Void Gauntlet healing, just to kind of help give me that continued sustain. Now when it comes to weapons, on your Fire Staff, you definitely want Keen. Keen is an absolute must. You're going to want to get those extra crits. You're also going to want keenly empowered. I would say that this is the best for the flamethrower build because you're constantly critting with the flamethrower. Either you're hitting one person in the back or multiple people in the back, but crits are going to come. So keenly empowered is almost always up. Whenever it's off a cooldown, it's automatically back on. Now I would say that Vicious is probably the better third perk than Mortal Power, but those Fire Staffs cost about 300,000 gold, so I would just take what you can get. Keenly empowered would be the base 2, and then third whatever you can get. I was super lucky I got Mortal Power. Mortal Power is definitely an underutilized perk, but Mortal Power gives you an extra 50% damage when you get a kill. Now when you're doing Flamethrower, you're getting kills all the time. You're nuking those clumps, you're getting kill shots, and as soon as you get one kill shot, your damage just ramps up exponentially. And Mortal Power doesn't just proc off of the kill, it actually procs off of the down. So two people can actually proc Immortal Power at one time, the person who kills them and the person who downs them. So it's definitely super useful, even if you don't get the initial kill and you get the down, which it's super easy to get that with the Fire Staff. Now when it comes to gems inside of your weapons, you are going to want to run the 20% int gem. Now I use the Aquamarine because the frost damage, whenever I want to switch to my Frost Gauntlet instead of my Void Gauntlet, the frost really synergizes well with the frost debuffs. But there's a little bit of a bug here where you are going to get an exponential damage increase when you do the intellect scaling. Now you could run the 15% extra damage when your stamina is not full, but it just doesn't make sense in this build because you're not going to be dodging a lot with your flamethrower while you're doing damage. Once you start hitting that flamethrower, your stamina bar ticks up to full and you would lose that damage output. So if you really want consistent damage output, use that 20% intellect gem. When it comes to Void Gauntlet, you really just want Keen and Vicious. I would say avoid Keenly Empowered if you got Keenly Empowered in your Fire Staff. And the reason for that is you're going to hit a timer. You're going to see a little internal cooldown timer on the Keenly Empowered, and it's not going to allow you to proc it on your Fire Staff. So that's really going to hurt your fire damage when you swap over to Fire Staff if you get a crit on your Void Gauntlet. Keen Vicious is just going to give you that biggest burst potential. Now, if you were to get a legendary, I would probably say Keen, Vicious, Keenly Jagged, or Keen, Vicious, and Plague Crits or something like that. Because there's lots of times when I use my Void Gauntlet auto attacks inside of my burst combo, and having a little extra healing debuff would be super helpful. Now in terms of attribute spread, I would put 126 into con because I like to use the fried rice food, which gives me a little bit extra con, a little bit extra int to hit that 150 cap. I think that 150 cap is pretty much essential with the flamethrower build because you're getting that crit damage reduction and a little bit extra health because you are going to be close to those melee clumps. So put the rest into intellect, whatever you have left over. I have a little bit enough focus, but that's because of my ring. In a perfect world, I would put everything into intellect. Alright, now let's take a look at a little combo for the Void Pyro build. What I like to do is to run in, double proc my orb, throw a little bit of a dodge in there. I like to Scream, Oblivion, Fireball, throw on the Flamethrower. Look at all that damage. Look at all the dots that are racking up on here. Now the numbers are a little bit hard to read when it comes to Flamethrower, but if you were to calculate all that dot damage, you're looking at about 600 to 1,000 damage a second. And that's on top of your Flamethrower, which hits every half second, and then your Oblivion damage, which is also ticking for damage. So don't discount the Flamethrower build. It can really dish out a lot of damage inside those clumps and really complement the grab wells and the maelstroms. So let's check out that combo again. We got Orb, Scream, Oblivion, Fireball, Flamethrower. Check that out. Absolutely nuts. Tons of damage. And the awesome thing about Flamethrower is if you get interrupted or you need to go and stay mobile, you're super fast. You can just zip around your opponent. You can kite them outside of the shock wave and you can just pull back, dodge, and reignite your Flamethrower. And it's super easy to switch targets. I mean, check this out. We're going in. We're over here. We're tossing a fireball. We switch over. Boom. We're starting nuking this guy for a ton of health. Boom. We switch over. Orb. Scream. Oblivion. A little bit of Harvest Essence, get some mana back, and we're back in the Flamethrower. Boom. There you go. Tons of damage, cutting our opponents, cutting our opponents. Oh, hey, look, we need to get away. We're burning out. We're zipping around. And look, all of our cooldowns are back up. Absolutely crazy. Now, there are some other combos that I like to do, and it just kind of depends on the situation, where sometimes I'll just stay in my Void Gauntlet, and sometimes that's enough to just nuke somebody down. So what we do here is we double proc the orb, we scream, Oblivion, and right after, we do an auto attack. See all that damage right there? Huge. Blocksman and Oblivion, they're taking 500 damage a second. You got the dot from the orb, and you got the healing debuff from the scream. And sometimes that's enough to just get somebody down 10k instantly. Alright guys, hope you liked that Void Pyro build. Definitely looking to do some more of this type of content, so if you like it, please like, subscribe, throw me a little comment down below, let me know what you would change in this build, or if you've done something different, or what would you like to see me do next. Alright, catch you guys next time.